against are dressed up as though they're not radical liberals every day of the year. But that's going on in Montana right now. Think about it. The gentleman that Greg is running against and the gentleman that Steve is running against were pushed into these races by Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and the radical left. That too. I mean, think about that. That's not Montana. If you say you're not going to do something and then Chuck Schumer flies in from D.C., offers you a boatload of money to go do it, is that someone you want representing you in Montana? No, but you have a senator now that's fighting for you. You have a governor, potentially a governor that's created more jobs in Montana than anyone. And you have the opportunity to put someone in the House who's going to fight with Donald Trump, not against him. But guys, we can't do this without you. You guys are part of it. Right? Donald Trump didn't need this job. But he needs you guys to help keep him in it. You've been watching what's going on for the last week, 10 days. Credible evidence is coming out. The collusion that the Democrats and the media have been looking for 4 years and lying about. We now see it. It's right there, they found it. But because it's about Joe Biden, no one has any interest. Now think about it. You have a naval intelligence officer who was Hunter Biden's partner saying, as an American, I can't let someone this compromised become president of the United States. They've been selling out our country for decades, making millions. And you got to hear about a fake Russia collusion lie for 4 years. Now that we know it's the other way around, there's no interest. But I ask you this. What if it was Donald Trump Jr.? No, seriously, what would the media do if it was Donald Trump Jr.'s hard drive? And Donald Trump Jr.'s payoffs? And eyewitnesses against Donald Trump Jr.? They tried putting me in jail for 3 years. True story, I did 30 hours of testimony before the House and the Senate. Steve knows damn well. 30 hours for exactly that. But it didn't stop him from trying is the point, right? So now, what they spent 3 years trying to put me in jail for, smearing my father with, they're actually doing on the other side, times about 1,000. And by the way, this is the Democrats' fault. They're fielding the most corrupted and compromised candidate in the history of the U.S. presidency because rather than being journalists, the media just give the Democrats a pass. Right? Had they done a small fraction, a tiny percent of the diligence that they did on us, if they would have put just a couple of the tens of thousands of reporters that were attacking us on a daily basis for the last 4 years on the Bidens, they wouldn't be fielding the most corrupted candidate in the history of the U.S. presidency. They wouldn't be fielding someone who's bought and paid for by China, by Russia, by the Ukraine, by Kazakhstan. Have you ever noticed that all of Hunter's business partners, like they're the most corrupt regimes in the world? You ever notice like he's not doing business with England or France or Spain? It's only corrupt regimes. We heard out the other day now, Hunter's the lawyer for the spy chief of China. You think that's because Hunter's a good lawyer, or you think that's because he wanted to be close so he could get compromising information on him to use against Joe Biden and America if he ever got power? Right? What do you think it'd be if Donald Trump Jr., like Hunter, took $3.5 million from a Putin associate in Moscow, and then they say it's debunked, and the media says, oh great, it's debunked. It's not debunked. I'll show you the wire transfer at the U.S. Treasury. There's nothing debunked about it. But again, when the media is your marketing department, it gets to be debunked. Just like Joe Biden can go to Pennsylvania and other states that depend on oil and gas And he can say, oh, that's ridiculous. I'm not against it, even if it's point number 2 on his platform. What do you think that would do to jobs around America, eliminating oil and gas? Right? What do you think locking down the country again and permanently, what do you think that would do? Donald Trump built the strongest economy we've ever seen. Donald Trump back in, I think it was February, promised a V-shaped recovery, meaning of course you're going to get hit. You know, remember Joe Biden wanted to leave the borders open from China because it was racist to shut down travel from the epicenter of a deadly outbreak. That's his moron plan. Leave it open because they're too concerned about being politically correct than doing what's right for America. So Donald Trump shut down the border, and for 12 weeks they were complaining about it. They're saying, we must gather en masse. We must do that. That too. See, this is a recurring theme, right? The bullshit's a recurring theme, and that's all they got. Again, the media won't question it. Just like the media wouldn't question when the hard drive came out. They say, well, Joe Biden, did you have the meeting with the corrupt guy paying your son and holding 10 for the big guy? Did you have the meeting? Huh. Come on, man! Like, my 6-year-old, you know, when I catch her doing something she's not supposed to be doing, is more creative than Joe Biden. But Joe Biden, rather than doing it, he knows the media is going to do whatever they can to protect him, right? So rather than just say no, because guess what? If you're not doing it, you just say no. If it didn't happen, you just say no. It didn't happen. You end it right there. But that's not what they did. They spent 3 days. They got in a room. You know, all their spin doctors, the PR people. What are we going to do about this? 4 days later, they emerged. And the answer to, did you take the meeting, was, well, the meeting was not in the vice president's official calendar. Oh, that's freaking wonderful. Oh, that solves it. The meeting goes, case closed. I go, but that wasn't the question. Because not even Joe Biden is dumb enough to put meeting with corrupt official paying Hunter $10 million and holding 10 for me, the big guy. Even Joe Biden's not that dumb. And he's pretty dumb. He thought he was running against George Bush the other day. Right? You saw that? Oh, this was amazing. He's sitting there and you see Joe Biden look of panic. She's like, oh crap, I gotta bail this moron out again. You saw the arm go up his back like a ventriloquist dummy. Joe, you're running against Donald Trump. Is Donald Trump not George Bush, you moron? Some of you young people have no idea what a ventriloquist is, but that's what Joe Biden is for Joe Biden. All right? He didn't know he was doing that. You think this guy's going to solve America's problems? He's been selling out America for decades. You think he's going to fix anything? Guess what, guys? You know this. If you've been working on a problem for 47 years and it's still broken, you're probably not coming up with the solution all of a sudden. Right? I mean, if this was a Joe Biden rally, if it would be a rally of one, massive turnout for Joe Biden. I don't mean to call it and Joe would be talking to the one person at the rally. He's right there, and Joe Biden would be at the teleprompter. And I, Joe Biden, after 50 years of failure, will finally do something that benefits someone other than my son. Pause for applause. Squinting at the teleprompter, resume speaking, and I, Joe... No, it's true. It's ridiculous, right? I mean, think about it. I've been in politics for like 5 minutes relative to Joe Biden's half-century. It's not that hard. I don't have notes. We just get up and do this stuff. You think he's going to... He can't remember what his policies are. He needs to read them on the teleprompter. If he ever gets asked a question by the press, it's because he gave those questions to the press and it's being fed into a teleprompter for him to answer. Again, they won't question that. He can't remember who his wife is. He can't remember the office he's running for. If you want to do this, you're more than welcome. I'm doing it, But thank you, I appreciate this. At least it shows that everyone knows what we're talking about. I think what we got to remember, and everyone has to remember, we were around Pennsylvania, or we were around Michigan, and we were around the Rust Belt for the last couple days with Ted and Cam, and we see the energy, we see the enthusiasm from people, Americans who are excited that someone's finally fighting for them. You finally have a president that's not bought and paid for by the special interests. He doesn't need their money. I mean, it's really nice that he's also not bought and paid for by China and Russia like Joe Biden, but minor details. But we see that enthusiasm because you guys understand. But again, when the deck is stacked the way it is against us, it's hard to believe. But you saw that. Social media, Google. You get a lot you get thrown in Instagram jail a lot and Facebook jail all the time. Yeah, me too. Notice how it only goes one way? Notice how even the most vile leftist accounts never get censored, deplatformed, demonetized, thrown off, thrown in jail. It only happens one way. But when you have all of their power, all of social media, and they refuse to link to articles from newspapers, a 200-year-old newspaper that came up and had the guts to publish the Hunter Biden stuff, think about what's at stake with that, guys. The same media that cries like petulant children every time Donald Trump correctly called the Russia hoax fake news, right? They cried, oh, that's an attack on democracy and the free press. I go, but you guys have been lying. You have no evidence. You have 10,000 times more evidence against Joe Biden's corruption and compromised position than you ever did about the Russia hoax. But you ran with that one for 4 years. You won't even report on this one. Right? So that same media that's doing that, they're canceling other journalists who are willing to actually do journalism. Okay? Social media's enabling that. Big tech's enabling that. And even the mainstream media's enabling that. So while we understand and we know, whether it's in the Senate or the governor's race, and even in the House races, even in Montana, the Second Amendment is on the table with the Democrats. You've seen Joe Biden's plan, right? Confiscate ARs, tax your magazines, eliminate any kind of online gun sales, even the paraphernalia. It's crazy. That's going on in Montana here, but what's scarier is, guys, your freedom of speech, your First Amendment is on the table this election, and you don't have to look any further than the last 10 days. If they can silence that kind of news, where the guy that could be in charge of the free world could be compromised by Russia and China and everyone else, and they don't even want to report about, think of how scary that is. That sounds more like communist China than it does the United States of America. That's why we need Donald Trump in there, and that's why we need fighters like Steve Daines in the Senate, like Matt Rosengale in the House, like Greg Gianforte in the governor's mansion. People who will fight for Montana's values. People who will fight with Donald Trump for the things that we believe in. Not pull a Nancy Pelosi, right? Remember how she sat on the USMCA for 1 year? Donald Trump fixed the disastrous trade deal that Joe Biden put us in, of NAFTA. No, but think about it. I mean, for years, he pushed NAFTA, doubled down on it, quadrupled down on it. He pushed TPP. He pushed for China's permanent status in the World Trade Organization. Those are things that took your jobs. Your blue-collar, good-paying jobs, and they sent them to China, and they sent them to Mexico. And he doubled down and he kept doing it. If you were in agriculture or ranching, they screwed you in pricing for exports. But now he's going to fight for blue-collar America today. Hunter Biden owns a piece of, actually, a Chinese company that's taking American manufacturing jobs out of Michigan and sending them to China. It's like it's the family business, creating jobs in China for the Bidens. So we gotta fix this, guys. But again, my father cannot do that by himself. That's why we need other people who are warriors, who are willing to do that. And that's what Donald Trump has done. He's opened the door for those who are willing to engage, who are willing to fight. Not the typical Republicans who've just gotten slapped in the face for 50 years. And they turn the other cheek. You know, they tell you they're taking the high road. They'll preach to you. They'll tell you everything you want to hear. It sounds so nice. So great. But then they go to D.C. and they roll over and die each and every time. No more, folks. Those people don't fly in the Republican Party anymore. Now we have warriors. And because we have warriors, we're getting shit done. Sorry guys, gotta call it how I see it. Think about it. Donald Trump created the strongest economy we've ever seen. Barack Obama in 2016, when my father made that promise. Again, promises made, promises kept. He goes, there's no magic wand for that, Donald. Abracadabra. There is a magic wand. There is a magic wand. Obama just didn't have it. No, that's not his fault. It's our fault for thinking that a guy that had never done anything, had never signed the front of a paycheck, only the back. It's why it's not his fault. He's a great speaker, good-looking guy. Everyone, it would sound like a dream, but like, what had he done? That's why him and Biden oversaw the most stagnant growth in the history of the world, and they took it at a time where it was in the beginning of an upswing, and it was still a disaster. So Donald Trump did that, and he kept yet another promise. Donald Trump created the lowest unemployment numbers for every demographic, for African Americans, for Hispanics, for women. Everyone. The highest number of new startup businesses for the same people. Hell, we always joke that Donald Trump has kept more promises than he's even made. Because hear me out. Because he did things that wasn't part of the Republican Party platform. He got prison reform done to right the wrongs of Joe Biden's crime bill. They put so many young men in prison for 30 years for smoking weed. Didn't just destroy that guy's life, destroyed his kid's life because they grew up in households without fathers. But the Democrat Party, they don't care about families. That's like a 4-letter word. We don't need that. So Donald Trump did those things to fix those problems and right those wrongs. It wasn't even part of his ticket. He did it because it was the right thing to do. Donald Trump took on Big Pharma, the biggest payoffs in Washington, D.C. Those guys, he took them on to get consumer drug pricing down so that Americans get drugs at the same price those American companies were selling in Europe for 10 cents on the dollar. America first. And Donald Trump is willing to take those on because he's not owned by them. Like a swamp creature like Joe Biden. He doesn't need the job. Like Steve doesn't need the job, and like Greg doesn't need the job. But he's doing it for the same reasons as them, because they understand how to get things done, and it's worth fighting for our country. When my dad announced, the last thing he told me as he went down the elevator as a family before he did sort of the infamous escalator ride. You guys remember that one, right? June 16th, 2015. He looked me in the eyes, and I just remember it was one of those things that just, you'll never forget, right? He looks me in the eyes, he goes, and now we find out who our real friends are. Oh boy, nailed it! But it shows a couple things, guys. He knew how vicious it would be. He knew friends that he'd known for years would turn on him, whether it was the Hollywood types or the this, that, and the other, didn't matter. He knew the second he put that little R next to his name and started fighting for conservative values, he knew they'd be gone. But more importantly, he knew that, and he did it anyway. game and still getting in the fight. That's everything. And again, that's why we're getting results. Look at it. We're pulling out of the endless wars. We're bringing home our boys and girls. So Donald Trump starts doing that, and the Pentagon elite start attacking him with anonymous sources say this. Nonsense. They've all been disproven. Everyone that's ever been in the room says it's a lie. Doesn't stop them from running with it for a week. But you know why they want to stay in the endless wars? Well, yes, it's money. I've been in the room, guys. I've been in the room when he's asked some general, why are we still in Afghanistan after 19 years? Huh. I mean, if you're a general, you would think you would know. I mean, it's sort of like the job description, right? Like, you'd think you'd know. It's like, Steve, what was the last bill you signed? You know, like, you probably should have that off the top of your head, maybe. Well, sir, it's complicated. Oh, that's great. Guess what? I'm the president. We got time. It's kind of a big one. It's because they all want a board seat at Raytheon in a couple years. Right? They want to get on War Inc. It pays big money, so we'll keep you there. It doesn't matter if we can't articulate why we should be there. You don't get that board seat if you're not selling missiles and using them. Right? Then we can build roads in Afghanistan and bridges and tunnels in Afghanistan that will be blown up in 2 weeks. Donald Trump wants to build them in Montana with American labor. Donald Trump renegotiated NAFTA, brought us the USMCA. He took what Joe Biden created, which was sending your American dream abroad, and he brought that American dream back to here, where it belongs. And guys, the other big one, you know, you never hear about it in the press because Donald Trump did it. I guess that's why you don't hear about it. How about, you've heard this speech before, sir, right? Peace in the Middle East, right now. Peace in the Middle East. Peace in the Middle East, like, I describe it like this. It's like Sasquatch. Right? It's over there in the mountains running. No one's ever seen it, but we think it may be there. Someone's drunk uncle once saw it after a couple bottles of moonshine. But no one's actually seen it, but we've been hearing about it for our whole lives. So Donald Trump goes in, he's like, I'm going to take care of this problem. An immediate attack. Donald Trump's doing it all wrong. Why? Why is he doing it all wrong? Well, because the experts say so. I go, but work with me here for a second. The experts say so, but what exactly have the experts accomplished in the last few decades? No, seriously, like, give me one positive sign of movement, like anything. Well, sir, the experts say, I go, no. You don't understand. My 6-year-old daughter, Chloe, some of you have probably seen her on Instagram. She's very aggressive, very tough. Cute, Chloe's the best. I love Chloe too. I go, guys, you understand that my 6-year-old daughter understands as much about the Middle East as our experts. And they go, that's ridiculous. You know, they think it's like one of those moments where you have these guys, you know, these experts. My 13-month-old child was talking to me today about nuclear proliferation on the Korean Peninsula, and, you know, like these woke people, like, trying to use their child to make a point. Like, I just say this. I'm not using Chloe because I'm going to just say, assume that Chloe knows nothing about Middle East peace. It's about the same as our experts. It's about the same. Because you should lose expert status after decades of failure, incompetence, and being wrong, right? You know, if you play golf or something like that, you play golf. If you're on the pro tour, if you're on the PGA tour and you shoot a 300, you're off the tour. If you're an expert in DC for 1 second, you get to stay an expert for the rest of your life and rake in the big bucks. You don't have to be right. You don't have to do what's right for America. Well, you know, those models haven't exactly proven to be accurate. It doesn't matter. But just like it's like this, like the guys at the FBI and the CIA that lied before Congress about spying on Americans, right? They don't even get punished. I did those 30 hours of testimony so they could try to get me in a perjury trap, right? Those guys lied before Congress, and what they get? They get jobs at CNN to peddle their lies. No accountability. So guys, we have an incredible opportunity to keep someone who's willing to fight for us, who's not bought and paid for. But again, we can't do it without you. You've seen what they try to do. You've seen them censoring the truth. You've seen them shutting down fact. We can't allow that to happen in America. Everything's on the table this election. Donald Trump did this for you, but we need you now fighting for him. We need you fighting for everyone on this stage. And when we do, we can keep Montana. And when these guys are fighting with my father, we can keep America great. And when we do all of that, we also have the added bonus of getting to make liberals cry.